Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Testing, 1, 2. Welcome to Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. Round 17 of the Senol NPLM Victoria kicks off in Melbourne's southeast at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex, pitting against each other. Two teams who have endured a tumultuous or even months in the Bentley Greens and South Melbourne, two of the most successful clubs in the NPL era of Victorian football, having endured a less than stellar few weeks, but hoping to get things back on track on what is a cold and wet evening in Melbourne. Bentley Greens hunting what would be a first league win since all the way back in March. Things aren't a whole lot better for South Melbourne, who haven't won an NPL fixture since the end of April. So South Melbourne's situation a little bit more complicated by their competing on multiple fronts over the course of this season, but now with a little bit more stability to their benefit, they'll be hoping that they can redirect their resources and energy towards NPL football, and for their sake, hopefully find their way back inside the winner's circle. Into tonight, Bentley all the way down the 12th spot on the Senol NPLM men's victory ladder. Just the 4 wins to their name this season, all 4 of those coming in their 7 games, taking on a team who currently sit in 7th, a fair way off the pace, particularly from top 4 who've broken clear on the NPL Victoria ladder. They'll see tonight as a really good opportunity to make some ground up to start off the weekend. George Katsakis and Bentley have made a couple of changes to their starting 11. Michael Boffey and Ant Lin have returned to the starting 11. They take the place of Luca Resti, who drops to the bench, as well as Jawad Rezai, who is unavailable for selection. While South Melbourne, they've made 3 changes to their starting 11 tonight. Out goes Lucas Inglesi from the matchday squad. Geordie Swivel drops to the bench, whilst the big surprise sees Max Mikola starting tonight's game from the bench. In place of those 3 players for South Melbourne come James Lakay, Andrew Mezzaruni, and the big inclusion, the big name, Nawel Bernarda starts again tonight. And so with the whistle of our central referee, we're underway at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. South Melbourne getting us started, hunting what is a much needed 3 points for both teams really. And a positive start in the opening minutes for Senisha Kahadzic's South Melbourne. Mentioned the tumultuous few weeks that both teams have had. South Melbourne's tumult highlighted by, of course, the firing and rehiring of Senisha Kahadzic. In the dugout tonight and hoping that his team can find a way through a Bentley outfit that, even though results haven't gone their way a whole lot in the last little while, often can prove tough to beat. Jordan Lampard's delivery is right onto the head of the goalkeeper. Awkward for Brendan White, who does enough to tip it over, and so we'll see a repeat of that Jordan Lampard corner. I'll give you the full run through of both starting 11s in just a moment, but South Melbourne applying some early pressure. So we'll see that. And nowadays very common crowding around the goalkeeper just to make life a little bit more uncomfortable for Brendan White. Lampard delivers this one a little flatter, and South Melbourne lead already. Not even 90 seconds on the clock, and South have bundled it in at the near post. Well, it's a perfect start for Senisha Kahadzic at South Melbourne, a nightmare for Bentley Greens. Just the massive bodies working their way towards that second consecutive corner delivery from Jordan Lampard. And just like that, South Melbourne kicking off round 17 with a bang. Well, as Bentley get play back underway, you might be able to see on your screen some of the rain that's now coming down a little bit heavier. See if we can get confirmation of who ended up getting that finishing touch into the net and whose goal it was for South Melbourne. In any case, South Melbourne grateful to find themselves 1-0 up already in this game. Things would hardly have started better, and for a Bentley Greens team who've been so short on wins over the last couple of months. And now they've got themselves a little bit of an early mounted to climb. Not just the wind, but the rain to contend with. You can see it really heavily pushing towards the South Melbourne goal. So South Melbourne running into the wind as James Leakey makes his run. The cross in. Oh, it's 2 for South Melbourne already. Noel Bernarda is back into the lineup and back on the score sheet. And things are going from bad to worse for Bentley. Not even 4 minutes played and already South Melbourne 2 goals to the good. Well, talk about a hot start to this one. Just getting good as well. That looked to be Aaron Cox who got the crucial touch to open the scoring for South. But he didn't have long to bask in the glory of that opening goal because there's already been another to double South Melbourne's tally. Both of those South Melbourne goals coming with deliveries from the right-hand side. James Leakey doing some wonderful work in the build-up to create the goal. His pace and endeavour could not be contended with by Bentley, and it was a fairly straightforward finish in the end for one of the most prolific in the competition in Noel Bernarda. So South Melbourne 2 goals already to their name. James Leakey, one of the inclusions, making his mark in the opening minutes. Well, Bentley, they've hardly touched the ball really in this first 5.5 minutes. Already 2 goals down. That ball over looks to sway you cheat. Surely they couldn't get a third already, South Melbourne. That ball in met initially and cleared away, but not too far by Kamara. Eventually the shot comes in. Brendan White forced to pour it over the crossbar. Well, South Melbourne, they're coming off the back of not just the midweek or mid-season NPL break, but that shock defeat at the hands of Altona Magic from 2 goals up. And they've clearly come out with an intent to make amends for that one. They are absolutely on fire in the opening minutes of this game. Now, once again from this near side, ready to send a cross into the box. The area from which they've created both of their opening goals. Lampard delivers again, this time headed away at the near post. Lampard with the follow-up ball over the head of just about everyone. Picked up and toe-poked forward effectively by Michael Boffey. So maybe a first look at an attacking move for the Greens. The attempted central ball towards Ant Lynn doesn't get far. And the ball out of play just near the halfway line. Finally, maybe a moment to breathe and run through both full starting 11s for Bentley in goal, as we've already seen heavily involved. Brendan White. Number 4 is Scott Hillier. Number 7, Marky Petratos. 9, Dennis Menelau. 10, Ant Lynn. 12, Dale Nicolaitis. 15, Mario Baldia. 22, Michael Boffey. 25, Kordang. 29, Ishmael Haji. And number 68 is Kalulu Kamara. As we see Jack Painter-Andrews here making the run down the flank for South Melbourne. Picked up by Leakey. Some calls there for a foul on Andrew Mezzaruni that go unheeded. As Marko Jankovic winning that header there. For South Melbourne in goal is Harvey Lopez. Number 3, Jordan Lampard. 4, Marko Jankovic. 13, James Leakey. 16, Aaron Cox. 17, Thomas Yiannakopoulos. 19 is Andrew Mezzaruni. 21, Seb Pasquale. 24, Nawa Bernardo. 27, Jack Painter-Andrews. And 35 is Yuki Uchida. 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes for South Melbourne. They don't look like they're done just yet. Seb Pasquale reading that ball quicker than anyone else. And once again looking to spring forward for South. Uses the support of Mezzaruni. Mezzaruni, one of the inclusions to tonight's starting 11, and that time Aaron Cox wasn't able to control as effectively. Bentley, they've got 4 wins to their name in the NPL this season. All 4 of those coming in the first couple of months of the season. Won 4 of their first 7. A very promising opening to life back in the top flight of Victorian football for George Katsakis' team, having earned promotion from VPL 1. But things have taken a turn for the worse, and dramatically so over the last couple of months, and not looking as if that's going to be reversed tonight based on the evidence of the first 9 minutes of this game. That ball over the top is a good one for Petratos. Harvey Lopez, a little bit of indecision whether to come towards the ball or retreat back to his goal, but eventually made the right call once he was confident the ball was bouncing in his favour. Since those first 7 games where they picked up their only 4 wins in the league this season. 6 losses and 3 draws from the following 9 games. That disappointment only tempered by a decent cup run in which they picked up 3 wins before eventually having their exploits ended by Heidelberg United a few weeks ago. James Leakey once again looking to trick his way inside. Lampard looking central. The attempt to turn doesn't get too far from Andrew Mezzaruni, and Bentley clear it, but very briefly. South Melbourne are just relentless at the moment. Once again, the cross sent in. That one, though, will lead to a bit of a reprieve for the Greens as they have themselves a goal kick. Really highlight just how challenging the last couple of months have been for the Greens. It's only Green Gully who have scored fewer than Bentley's 16 goals in their 16 games. So not enough potency in the front line, and a heavy reliance on Marky Petratos. He scored 9 of those league goals, so over half of them coming from the man in the number 7 shirt for the Greens. Here's Leakey for South Melbourne, continuing to really terrorise the Greens backline. Painter-Andrews with the curling delivery. Some nice shape on it. The touch initially, well, the ball looked for a moment like it might be bouncing towards goal. Aaron Cox doing enough to keep the ball in play, and it was just a moment of danger for Brendan White. It wouldn't have mattered in any case with the referee's whistle coming to the goalkeeper's rescue. At the moment, every time South Melbourne go forward, you feel that they could well score. Mezzaruni in behind again. Has Bernardo in the middle of the box, opts to be more patient with it and use the support of Leakey. Pasquale makes some space on his left, ball inside. Richard's first touch, some shouts for handball. Eventually, Bentley get the ball clear. And Marko Jankovic looking to pick out a pass in the front line, but in the end the ball deflects comfortably for the goalkeeper White. South Melbourne, of course, having endured an unprecedented level of fixture congestion in the first few months of this season. Not just obligations in League and Cup in Victoria, but also internationally in the OFC Pro League. Those commitments now having finally concluded. An opportunity for Sinisa Kahadzic and his side to address the majority of their focus on NPL action. On the looks of it there, they've come out to make a bit of a statement this evening. Declare that their NPL campaign is well and truly back on track as that throw is into the path of Seb Pasquale. We'll get another look at it here. So I'm happy to be patient with it before the ball is sent inside. Painter Andrews closest to it. Was harassed and harangued all the way to the byline by Nicolaitis. And the end result is a South Melbourne throw. Painter Andrews assessing his options before he delivers the long throw. It's a little bit shallow, still opportunities for South. Brendan White read it quicker than anyone else and happy to jump onto the ball. These two teams have met in some big games before, of course. Go back a decade in this competition and they were there year in, year out, competing for major honours. Of course, faced off in the 2015 Grand Final. Bentley getting the better of South at Lakeside on that day. Whilst the few years immediately after led to some continued success for both teams, it's fair to say that the last 10 years or 11 years now, looked at as a whole, it's been a much smoother trajectory for South Melbourne. Bentley relegated down to the second tier a few years back before just now making their way back into top flight football, and based on the evidence of tonight, still a bit of a gap to bridge before they're competing with the very best in the state again. That being said though, still plenty of time in this game, just over 15 minutes gone. The one thing they do have in their favour is that there's more than enough time to turn this game around, and of course South do have form of coughing up 2-goal leads, even against teams you wouldn't expect it to come against. Here's Bernarda. Eventually the shot comes in from Mezzaruni, and White does well to get his body behind the ball to ensure no unfortunate bounces, seeing it trickle underneath him. The 2 goals for South last time out against Altona Magic. They didn't come quite as quickly as they did in this game, but within 25 minutes they were 2-0 up against the Magic that time. Here's Lakay going towards the far corner. That was awkward for Brendan White. And he did just enough to palm it into the path of Scott Hillier, who sends it out and into touch. Travelling South fans being given plenty of reason to sing in the opening to this game. Their team have been electric. Chance here for another delivery inside the box. It will come from Pasquale. No one on the receiving end of that one. The goal scoring hasn't been easy so far this season. Just the one time in an NPL game when they've scored 3 or more goals. They'll need 3 tonight, at least, if they're to come away with the chocolates. That's looking like a pretty big ask at this point in time. One team that they've been able to score 3 or more against in league competition was Green Gully right back at the start of the season. South building up some nice passing moves, but the ball forward leaving a little bit to be desired from Jordan Lampard. The reaction there in the aftermath from Brendan White. He's maybe the player who's enjoyed the 18 minutes played so far the least out of anyone on the pitch. It's been a nightmarish situation for a goalkeeper. That ball headed back smartly by Dale Nicolaitis. Bentley do look to have settled somewhat now into this game. Marco Petratos looks to introduce some attacking endeavour. Eventually South retreat to the goalkeeper in Harvey Lopez. So yet again, Lampard dropping into that central position to be a bit of a playmaker. The ball through, read well by Brendan White, who comes to clear his line. Ball ends up all the way with his opposite number, Harvey Lopez, before South Melbourne reset and relaunch. This time Uchita's the target, and the offside flag is up. Of course, one of 2 matches taking place to kick off round 17 of the Senol NPLM Men's Victoria competition tonight. The other getting underway in just under half an hour's time when Oakley Cannons and Melbourne City go head-to-head not too far from here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Petratos' delivery is a deep one. One of the first acts of real defending that South Melbourne have had to do as the sliding challenge came in from Hadji. Some consternation as to the award of the throw, but South Melbourne do have the ball back. These teams as well did meet back at the start of the season, and Bentley were running hot. South Melbourne, though, did get the better of them at Lakeside, a 1-0 win. South do now have a free kick to defend as Kalilu Kamara prepares to deliver. Didn't really get any of the flight that he was looking for on that ball. And the clearing hoof from Thomas Yanakopoulos. Well, it was immaterial in the end. South Melbourne able to restart play from the back. In that round 4 meeting where South Melbourne got the 1-0 win, there was also an early goal in that fixture. Geordie Swivel in the 3rd minute. And Bentley were unable to find a way to get past South. Got to do it more than once if they are to get something from this game. Move well defended, so some more positive signs for the Greens if they're working their way right into this contest. Lakay. His foray inwards. Doesn't get too far.
Oh, okay, well done, son. Keep going.
Chance for a four-way forward here for the Greens. Marky Petratos is crossing side, met by Pasquale. But it's the first corner of the evening for the Greens as they slowly wrestle back some control in this contest. Another pass released by Nicolaitis to enable Petratos to play that ball off the South Melbourne opponent. Now the corner delivered. It's a flat one. Never really threatened Harvey Lopez's goal. Petratos will look to create again, but Noel Bernardo was there, winning back possession for South. Now Uchida looks forward. Charging forward is Mezzaruni, spreads it out to the left where Cox scored the opening goal. Returns to Mezzaruni. Just couldn't get the ball out from under his feet in time, and Kalilu Kamara, tracking back, wins the ball for Bentley. And the ball well protected by Lynn. Greens, ultimately nothing came from it, but still some more positive signs. South Melbourne continuing to threaten on the counter though. Lakay thinks about the early cross, goes in eventually. Oh, it's a little bit awkward to deal with. Uchida with the shot. Oh, that's a wonderful finish. Yuki Uchida pinching the ball back in a dangerous area and then firing it into that far corner. Nothing Brendan White could do. South Melbourne have 3. And this game is just about out of sight for the Greens. Some slack defending, you have to say, pounced on by Uchida. And well, after Bentley's best 5 minutes in this game, South Melbourne making it 3-0. Not even half an hour played. It was around this stage of the game that South doubled their lead against the Magic last weekend. So to have trebled it 25 minutes in, well, things going from bad to worse and worse again for the Bentley Greens. Ball over the top once again, hoping for Yuki Uchida. That time it was well defended and the clearing ball was helped out by Hillier. Oh, Uchida there, his eyes lit up as he saw the chance to unleash Painter Andrews now. His shot catches a deflection and South have themselves a corner. Well, urged on by the vocal South Melbourne support, does not look like Hellas have any interest in slowing down. Just continuing to charge forward whenever they get the opportunity. They look so dangerous on the counter, the set pieces too. And the Greens not having a lot of answers defensively. And you wonder if that little resurgence that we saw in the 10 minutes leading up to the third goal. Might have been shot dead with that Yuki Uchida strike. Lampard to deliver here, goes along the deck this time. Uchida knew what he was doing. Thankfully for Bentley, so did Dale Nicolaitis. Still the chances alive, ball into the heart of the box, and Brendan White grateful that no one could quite get a touch on that one. Petratos thinks about going with the cross, instead switches to his right. Hadji, a quick exchange with Scott Hilliard. And this time the referee's whistle coming to the aid of the hosts. They could nick a goal, Bentley, from a situation like this. It would go a long way to their cause, not just in the sense of reducing the deficit, but making them feel like they're maybe a bit more competitive in this fixture. Lynn is physical as he shoves away an opponent, but even then wasn't afforded the space to get a clean look at goal. Uchida on the turn. And a clear-cut foul on Mezzaruni. Referee happy for the play to be restarted quickly. Now there's some space made before the shot fired by Aaron Cox. That one well managed by Brendan White, one of the busier players on the pitch. We know the struggles that they've had over the last couple of months of the Greens. The last few weeks have been particularly rough. Conceding the 5 against Hume last time out, 4 against Avondale, as well as a couple against Heidelberg in the Cup. It's now up to 14 goals conceded across their last 4 games. Still with an hour to play in this one. It's very unlike George Katsaka's team. Of course, Cats is Heidelberg United. Team so successful. So famous for being that difficult to beat opposition. Very much struggling to re-find that kind of groove at the Greens in the top flight. And they do, though, have themselves a free kick. There's the first yellow card of the evening shown to Thomas Yanakopoulos. Another set-piece look for Bentley. Marky Petratos standing over it again. The rain has eased off a little, as has the wind, so slightly more pleasant conditions for the players out there. Petratos to deliver. Looks towards that back post. Just about gets teammates booed on it, but Harvey Lopez had his near post well covered. So over half an hour gone now at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. If you've just joined us, fair to say you've missed a reasonable amount. 3 South Melbourne goals in the first half hour, 2 in the first 5 minutes. For Yuki Uchida, trebled the South Melbourne advantage just over 5 minutes ago. And now Bentley, well, desperately hunting for a route back into this game. Cross sent in, right across the face of goal. Petratos keeps it in play. Crosses it back towards from whence it came. Cox up towards Bernarda. Closely marshalled by Boffey, and effectively so. Baldia couldn't trap the ball. And so the South attack continues. This time down the left flank. That's a beautiful reverse pass for Mezzaruni. Banana leaves it for Lakay. Oh, it was a lovely South Melbourne move. James Lakay's finish just lacking. Pulls it wide of the post. Well, it's the kind of miss that you can afford in these circumstances. Lakay playing a big role in those opening few minutes, getting the assist for that second goal. It's really terrorised the right wing. Runs in behind his pace and zeal has proved difficult to contain. Here's Pasquale. Yuki Uchida. Couple of touches, looked to have gotten away from him, but he's snuck in there ahead of Michael Boffey, which means Bentley centre back joins his opposite number, Thomas Giannakopoulos, in the referee's notebook. Yuki such a dynamic player. It's proven to be such a valuable asset for South Melbourne. Prior to that, for Dandenong Thunder, where he really made his mark in NPL Victoria. And is at least in the top flight of competition, and he's now one of the most watchable and dangerous midfielders in the competition. Free kick struck by Mezzaruni. Wall doing its job. Hadji for Bentley. See a little bit of frustration as that touch took him a long way away from the ball. Marko Jankovic tracking back and helping out with the defence. Well, as is his primary duty in the South Melbourne lineup. Greens restart play quickly. One met by the head of Jack Painter-Andrews before Lakay and Nicolaitis resumed their duel. Lakay springing back to his feet and beating Nicolaitis for pace, but it was the Bentley man who won back the ball. Nicolaitis, though, slipping as he struck. And it'll be a South Melbourne goal kick at the end of it all. Making his case that it wasn't just his own doing that saw him hit the deck there. Maybe the whistle should have been forthcoming, but in any case, South Melbourne happily with the ball back in their possession.
Instead of saying cheese, say Deserby's bringing the cup.
At least we're practicing some plays now.
Favourable break here for Bentley. Marky Petratos. Oh! Well, what a way to pull one back for the Greens. That is a superb strike, Marky Petratos. It's his 10th goal in NPL action this campaign, and he is just about single-handedly carrying the Bentley Greens goal-scoring exploits. That was a superb strike from a long way out. See, the celebrations are not particularly extensive. Bentley still with a lot to do, but that is a foundation. Chance there for the Greens. Cordang looking to run onto that loose ball, but unable to get onto the end of Kalilu Kamara's pass. It didn't matter because there was a foul on the Bentley centre-back beforehand. Covered there by Boffy. Goal scorer Petratos. Being double teamed there on the byline, and eventually the numbers pay off for South Melbourne, and they've got themselves a free kick as well.
Straight out, straight through. Get him one. He wants one. He's not driving. I'll keep your butt out. Yeah. Give me a Coke, man, if you get a chance. Yeah. It was good.
Well, we're now heading into the shadows of the halftime whistle. Can't argue there's been a lack of entertainment in this first half thus far. A red-hot opening from South Melbourne. Bentley showing signs of life at various points in this first half. Now Bernardo looking to extinguish those, and well, that was the kind of attempted finish that maybe you're allowed to do when you're 3-1 up in the first half. Very, shall we say, artistic approach by Nawal Bernardo, scorer of South Melbourne's second goal. Hillier latching onto the loose ball. It's to Brendan White, who's under pressure as ever. He's hardly touched the ball with a moment of peace in this first half, Brendan White. Well, they've got the one goal back, the Greens. There's a Rooney's ball over the top. Could pan out as effective. And South do have themselves a corner. Well, they gave up that shock lead last time out, South Melbourne. You wonder whether it's crossed the minds of any of the players that something similarly disastrous could happen now that they've, well, gone 3-0 up in the first place and Bentley pulling a goal back. A fourth before half-time for South Melbourne, you'd imagine, would go a long way to curtailing any lingering resistance from Bentley. This ball sent in, eventually cleared short by Hillier. Attempted longer ball from Petratos. For South Melbourne look forward again. Once again, there's no shortage of ambition in the goal-scoring efforts of South Melbourne in this first half. That one, though, from Andrew Mezzaruni would have taken just about the strike of his life.
It's hard to get up every day.
Rain has just about stopped here at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex, where, well, Bentley, if they're looking for good omens and reasons to believe it's possible that they can still get something from this game, they have scored 3 on a couple of occasions in the Cup at this venue this season. Space down the right-hand side for the cross to be sent in. Good look for Cordang. He sends it in now. Hadji closest to it. South Melbourne bodies scrambling to make the defensive block. Well, it's as good a 5 minutes as Bentley have had in the game. Threatening now a second goal. If they can grab that, well, then this game is right back on heading into the second 45. Corner deliveries, a flat one, met at the near post. Second phase for Petratos. This one's got a little bit more depth. Double fister from Lopez. Kamara thought about the strike, pulls the trigger now, and the deflection and out was off a teammate. So South Melbourne, really for the first time in this game, maybe feeling a little bit of anxiety at the back, a little bit of pressure from their opposition. It's the venue where Bentley have had almost all of their success this campaign. 7 wins across League and Cup this season for the Greens. 6 of them have come here at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. Ball for Lackay. James Lackay's in behind again. Oh, the finish is just wide. Some shouts for offside. But that was too easy for South Melbourne as they just sliced through the Bentley backline. James Lackay saw the idea, edging it towards that far corner, but a little bit too much width, as well as, well, evidently a deflection on the way out. So South Melbourne with the corner to deliver. Very nearly that skimming action that we sometimes see, where it goes off the top of a player charging towards the near post and makes it even harder to defend. 90 seconds remaining in the first 45 minutes of this one. This time the corner's taken short. Pasquale looking to tee up Lampard. And Lampard chips it up inside the penalty area. Never looking particularly convincing for Bentley, but they do get it clear again. Follow-up ball. Nicolaitis closest to it, as was Boffey. Could fall for Mezzaruni. Eventually cleared out to the left flank, where Cox will keep it in play. Cox turning into some space. Lampard was perhaps the intended target, but pass cut out. Now Lynn for Bentley. Beaten to it by Painter Andrews. So we're about to find out how much stoppage time there will be played. Well, even with the score at 3-1, a goal either way in the dying embers of this half could have significant consequences for the second. If South Melbourne can nab a fourth, you'd feel that the resistance may more or less be broken by the time we kick off for the second 45. But if Bentley were to make it 3-2, well, all of a sudden teams are almost on even footing. South Melbourne still with a goal advantage, but Bentley having scored the last 2. And 2 is how many minutes there will be of first half stoppage time. South Melbourne continuing to probe. Painter Andrews. Space on the left flank where it's picked up by Cox. Looking to skip past Hillier. Cross inside is good. Lackay's there. Mezzaruni arriving, but the clearance does come. Well, it was the right-hand side where South Melbourne were doing much of their wide damage in the opening minutes of this half. Aaron Cox having more and more of an influence as the half's gone on from that left flank. Cox, who was the scorer of that opening goal. Well, credit to South Melbourne, they've played such an attacking, abrasive brand of football, and it's made for eminently watchable first 45 minutes. Really, these few passes, the first time we've seen any kind of reduction in the intensity from South. Doesn't last long as Yankovic looks to pick out Lackay. It's fair to say that South would very much accept a 3-1 half-time scoreline, as Jack Painter Andrews is in no hurry to resume play with the throw-in. Cox hoping to generate one more look for South Melbourne. Lampard in support. Well managed by Hadji. And that will see us to half-time. So it's South Melbourne who've had things almost completely their own way in that first 45. They started like a house on fire. 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes. The first scored by Aaron Cox, the second finished by Nawel Bernarda. Bentley showed signs of life, and then the third goal from Yuki Uchida looked to just about wrap up this game before half an hour had been played. Marky Petratos, though, with really the finish of the first half, a wonderful strike from outside the box, has got Bentley back into this game, reducing the deficit from 3 goals to 2, and maybe a little bit of momentum for the hosts to carry into the second 45. Still lots of work to do, though, for George Katsakis in his halftime team talk. Still plenty to play out in the second 45. Be sure to join me for it in around about 15 or 20 minutes' time. But at halftime at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex, Bentley Greens 1, South Melbourne 3.
I know why you've done it. I'm gonna go. Born in Melbourne. No, born in Bentleigh.
Saturday, another time, your usually has been good that is just from I have very much let them on one skin and a pie. Let them be told me already 50 years in US plus per month. Let me every executive, my cousin went 2 years ago.
I don't want him to go to the army.
My age there, what are you going to do? You're going to put this?
Yes.
Well, my friends are selling every living we have. Their money, they put it in. Characa, my dad was up there. He could have gone on the top, but never did one. We stayed too far.
Yeah, but why would you have? A landmark because it was the World War One.
But used to remember the ship championship go by bus. I remember well the first daytime I saw the medal everything. The ship. But very sensible, I wish don't forget you. Please go to Tanaka.
Está ahí en la cola, está ahí en la cola.
I like to go. I like to check out our home. The sun's out here. Check my dad's land use things. I'll go when I retire.
What about your son? You know? You don't know?
My wife is born here.
Okay.
But her mother is from Italy. Yeah. Her dad is from Italy. Feel and really the 800 meters you can swim back. The same thing for my Italy. You can swim back. But my dad, my uncle, he's supposed to go to the army. Following day, his mates, they took a fishing boat, they crossed the limit. And the motor of Bopean, they had to feed over to Lino. Because maybe it can go.
That's like my papa told me that he was doing some odd jobs to make money, and one of those things was bringing sausage and something else from Lingo. You're not allowed. But they told me about it. And then he told me that he was asked to take a suitcase out and he said, no, not doing that. I know what the goods are. Yeah, do it. So now I know. I can tell you. I've asked the question before and I just forget about it. Okay. So basically, Kilo and Level and then Bentleigh, which is from Keada,
Like Ingo, the charter will translate
Ingros and Gojala.
their charter, then the charter. They change it. We 100% in the US, never change. Well, I left, like I said, I left the last 14 year old. I still remember the streets of it. And if I do go now, I'm going to change it. Still, I might find my wife at home.
All want to buy something there because it's more like New Island. On the coast, isn't it? It was great.
Many people I know, the 73 returning shares of bed and breakfast, and instead of thermal, he has a leg, and the thermal has leg. And I wouldn't recommend I go to Naka, because the parents are supposed to come and go. So now, in the neighbor, there's a mechanic, turn the shop to bed and breakfast. They do the money. Like the system in Russia. To stay on a floor. It wasn't far from Russia. por amigo. Y luego de conflicto.
Well, welcome back to Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. Second half about to get underway between the Bentley Greens and South Melbourne. It was a commanding first half performance from South. 3-0 they led within half an hour. Bentley, though, pulling that all-important goal back just to keep the door ever so slightly ajar as we head into this second half. Still plenty of time for things to turn around if Greens can nick a goal before South add to their total. All of a sudden, the nerves and jitters will no doubt return aplenty for South Melbourne. Bentley evidently not too interested in retaining possession from kickoff, and South Melbourne will have the first meaningful spell of possession. It's Marko Jankovic who looks central towards Andrew Mezzaruni, who was heavily involved in that first 45. Picked up by Seb Pasquale, now Aaron Cox, scorer of the opening goal in the game. Finds Lampard on the turn. Jordan Lampard across goal. Well, towards that back post, Dale Nicolaitis had to be composed, and indeed he was. James Lakay now on the turn. Tried to beat a couple, but Bentley were able to interrupt his run. Pasquale now for South. It's inboard to Lampard. Before being sent inboard. Kalilu Kamara dealt with it best. Dang's run doesn't get too far. As mentioned in that first half, Bentley scored 3 or more goals just once in an NPL fixture this season. Have done it a couple of extra times in the Cup as well, so they are capable. Not yet, though, have they managed to be so prolific against opposition of the level of South Melbourne. Ball forward, initiates a wrestle between Bonata and Kamara. The end result is another South Melbourne throw. Mentioned in that first half how almost all of Bentley's wins this season have come here at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. South Melbourne, for what it's worth, have struggled at their home venue and really have picked up most of their points on the road. 6 wins, 1 draw, and just the 2 losses across League and Cup away games so far this season. Really shocking part for South Melbourne is that 6 of their 8 defeats in NPL action this season have come at Lakeside. That's a potentially dangerous giveaway for South Melbourne. That clearance had to be well timed by Jack Painter-Andrews, and was. All of that is to say that South Melbourne have proven more than capable of competing at various rivals' home venues across the course of their NPL's campaign thus far. Hoping to add Kingston Heath Soccer Complex to the list of venues at which they've picked up wins this campaign. You can see with how Bentley have set up, got the 5 players ready to apply the press. The 5 players, just a chasm in the centre of that. Very much having to take some risks and leave some space as a consequence of applying greater pressure, trying to win the ball back high up the pitch. Make life as uncomfortable for South Melbourne as they can as they hunt a way back to within a 1-goal deficit. Stepping forward is Nicolaitis. Isn't quite on the same wavelength as Ismail Hadji. That ball rolls harmlessly through to the South Melbourne backline. Ball is met by the head Boffy. A nice little turn there from Dennis Menelau. Didn't see a huge amount of Dennis in that first 45. Of course, the potential in this second half to see both Dennis and Alex Menelau on the park at the same time, the 2 brothers. Alex Menelau starting on the bench for Sinisha Kahadzic this evening. Well, just before this free kick is taken for Bentley, Yuki Uchita's taken a seat in the middle of the park. So a little bit of concern for the scorer of South Melbourne's 3rd goal. Uchita has been one of the more prolific contributors in that South Melbourne first half, with his daring runs forward and involvement in the build-up too. We'll see if this is anything too serious which forces Uchita out of the play, or out of the game rather. He'll be out of the play for this coming free kick, and it looks as if South Melbourne will indeed make that substitution immediately. Free kick delivered in. Bentley looking to generate a look at goal. They did just enough, South Melbourne, to scramble it clear. Chance here for a counter-attack for South. Fairly clear-cut foul though. We'll see South slowed down, but nonetheless retaining possession.
Number 29.
Well, just a little bit of confusion as to the substitution. It is Max Mikula who's come on to replace Yuki Uchida, wearing the number 29 this evening. That's a dangerous giveaway. Bentley, they might not get a better look than this. Well, that was a golden chance for Ismail Hadji. Just saw the ball get away from him too far, and he's taken a seat in the aftermath as well. Well, that was a golden look for the Greens. They're still on the attack here. Cross sent in, met by the head of Yankovic. Kamara. But yes, Max Mikula there in the number 29 shirt this evening. Applying pressing as Bentley Greens look to hold on to the ball. Lynn wasn't quite able. Cox is tackled. Baldia, quick exchange with Menelau. And Lakay's won it back here for South Melbourne. Charging through on goal, James Lakay. Oh, it's a great save. Brendan White was up for the challenge. And that's not the first time this evening that Lakay's been in behind the Bentley defence, but just able to apply the finishing touch. The kind of thing that you see so often with a raw talent as Lakay is. Just a couple of days short in fact from So both teams now having had real golden chances to open the second half scoring. Neither taken, so the score remains at 3-1. Despite how dominant that opening half hour was for South, you do still feel like this game, well, the outcome isn't certain just yet. Would love a fourth goal, South Melbourne, to curb some of the Bentley resistance. Here's Aaron Cox. There's a number of options inside the box if he chooses to pursue them. Goes with the cross, which is comfortably cleared by Kamara. Touch there from Bernarda, hoping to find the path of Painter Andrews, and some appeals for a free kick, not forthcoming from the referee. Nicolaitis is under a little bit of pressure as he tries to navigate an awkward cul-de-sac, ends up the throw-in. Long throw sent in for South. Unable to beat a wall of green shirts. And now potential for a counter-attack to be launched. It was an effective defensive challenge from Max Mikula, but wasn't able to stop the ongoing run from Petratos. Petratos awaiting reinforcement. Eventually worked out to that left flank where the run was being continued by Hadji, but he was well marshalled by Lakay. Does feel like a pivotal phase of the game. Over 10 minutes played now in this second half. Both teams having some really good looks at goal. Maybe not quite the same end-to-end intensity that we saw in the first 45. Melbourne, the way that they surged forward with opportunity, taking it down a gear or two with a lead to protect. But nonetheless, it's tantalisingly poised. Hillier looks towards the back post. He's got too much height on that one. So South Melbourne navigate another defensive moment. Discussed in the first half the contrast of these teams over, well, less so the last 1 years than the last 5 or so. And very much reflected in the head-to-head, which now very much favours South Melbourne in the NPL era. That was well managed by Khalila Kamara with a couple of opponents to beat. South Melbourne, though, they have won the last 6 meetings between these two teams. It includes, of course, the earlier matchup this season, and these teams also going head-to-head in the Doherty Cup last season. You might remember a fairly famous coming together in which, well, took for extra time for South to beat then VPL 1 opposition in Bentley. Well, we are now seeing George Katsakis head to his bench. And so from the looks of it, Luke Oresti and Dimitri Relos both being brought into the game, taking the place of Ant Lynn. I believe it's Scott Hillier, the other man. So it's the former Greens junior coming into the action alongside Oresti, the man brought across from Melbourne City. Long range shot here from Mezzaruni. Well, he certainly connected with that. That one was rocketing towards the goal. Thankfully for Brendan White, it's off target. So we see both Oresti and Relos taking up fairly well advanced positions. Oresti more centrally, Relos on this right flank. Necessarily attacking set of changes for George Katsakis. Mick looking out to that left flank where Cox was continuing his run. Thomas Yanakopoulos. Lakay trying to put on the afterburner, but unable to keep the ball in play and concedes the goal kick. Cox, long way out, fires towards goal. That was a really good claim from Brendan White. That one was travelling and he claimed it with aplomb. No double grabbing at that one or feeling the need to palm it away. The rain has very much subsided. interesting, although no doubt conditions a little bit slippery and awkward for a goalkeeper. Here's Jankovic to send South forward. Opts for retreat. One met by the head of Boffey before Nicolaitis sends it up towards Oresti. Space for Cox on this left flank, but was quickly closed down and the ball won back by Cordang. Now Oresti for Bentley. It's out to that left flank where Petratos has been doing his work. Looks central towards Menelau, but met by the knee of Thomas Giannakopoulos. There's plenty of yells and shouts for fouls in either direction, but referee was happy to let play continue before eventually bringing things to a temporary pause. Nicolaitis looking to be the player on the receiving end of that challenge, which left him on the deck. Well, as the second half is progressing, South Melbourne, they're still showing some attacking intent. You do wonder if maybe they're starting to see their clearest route to victory as being holding off the Bentley Green surge for enough of this second half. Mikola looking in board, met by Kamara. Lampard looking to head it forward once more, and Kamara taking no chances. But just content South to see the pace of the game slowed and maybe some less space to operate for both teams in attacking areas. That one was well won back by Cox. Aaron cross inside, met by Deng, but behind for a South Melbourne corner. So much damage from these situations in the first half, South. That one met by the fists of White. We'll get another crack at it, will South. As Evan, Noel Bernardo right at the heart of the conflict in the mouth of the goal. Referee just looking to keep a lid on things before allowing the ball to be sent inside. Has a little word to Hadji before eventually the second cross is delivered. Attempted flick on from Bernarda. And a little tug back on the shirt of Hadji means Bentley Greens will be given a reprieve. There is plenty of Senol NPLM men's Victoria action to keep across the tomorrow, headlined by a big game at Olympic Village between Heidelberg United and Preston. For Sunday rounds out proceedings at Churchill Reserve between St Albans and Altona. Pasquale for South attempted the run forward but didn't get too far. South Melbourne are able to see out the rest of this game with the 3 points in hand. Pending the Melbourne City result at Oakleigh, could see South climb up into 5th position, leapfrogging both Melbourne City and George Cross. Take them to 5 points behind Heidelberg and the top 4 positions. So still plenty of work to do for South, that being 5 points, having played an extra game as well by the end of tonight. McKay looks central. Here's Mezzaruni. Well read by Kamara, and now Bentley can look to spring forward through Aresti. That's the supporting run of Relos. It's a perfectly weighted ball in between for Hadji. Javi Lopez doing just enough to send the ball away from the goal. Now Aresti. Can't beat Giannakopoulos. Well, it was the first clear look at goal as we've had in a little while. And with that, South Melbourne will take the opportunity to make another substitution. Andrew Mezzaruni's night comes to an end, and he'll be replaced by Jack Pope. Another one of those Swiss Army knife players for Sinisa Kahadzic. Can fulfill just about any role. Perhaps a more defensive brief for this evening. His team still with the 2-goal advantage into the second half of this second half now. Kalilu Kamara with the cross in. Well, it's a nice delivery. No one there taking the gamble to throw themselves at that ball. Bentley will accept a corner as a consolation prize. Perhaps no one quite expected Kamara to deliver such a tasty cross into the area. Follow-up corner into the heart of the box, headed towards goal. Looked to be Deng who got his head to it. Javi Lopez grateful, though, that there was really no penetration on the shot, so South Melbourne happily will look to build up once more from the back. The press is intense from the Greens, and they've won back the ball because of it. Petratos did a 360 whilst maintaining possession. There's about 3 players now closing him down, but we need more than that to stop Marky Petratos. Seb Pasquale in the right place at the right time to cut out the pass. Now Boldia uses Aresti. Now this is Deng. Back central to Aresti. Towards Relos. Bentley continue to build. The fake. Not clever enough to get past Marko Jankovic, who charges forward now. No one really closing him down, Marko Jankovic, so he makes it to just about halfway before eventually using the supporting blue shirts. Clever from Pope. This is his fellow substitute in Mikola, who spreads it towards Lakay. His influence has waned a little bit in this second half, a game much less suited to his talents. Looks inboard towards Mikola, but ball thumped clear. Mentioned that South have won the last 6 meetings between these two teams, who competed so many big games 5 to 10 years ago. Does mean that, well, unless Bentley are able to complete a remarkable turnaround in the last 20 minutes of this game, as Bernarda looks to tee up Mikola. Now Lakay, overlapping run comes, ball inside, finished! It's 4 for South, and surely now The points are secure. Jack Pope is the man who runs away in celebration. The substitute's touch coming just inside the far post. And surely South Melbourne have now done enough to secure a first NPL win in almost a couple of months. Their fast start wasn't quite enough to secure the points, but that goal may well be. And with that, looks like it'll be continuing the run of games between these teams that South Melbourne have won and extending as well. Well, Bentley haven't beaten South Melbourne since all the way back in round 1 of 2019. So that record will likely extend to an 8th year, as South Melbourne now well in control of this game at Kingston Heath. Can see already just a little bit of a release of tension with that 4th goal. Okay, charging forward and only able to dish up a goal kick. South Melbourne has mentioned this will be a first win since the 24th of April in NPL action. That win coming against St Albans all the way back in round 10. The last time South Melbourne won a league game at home, meanwhile, going to go all the way back to round 7, so the end of March, around about the time that Bentley won their last league game, home or away. That will be the next ambition for South, and well, they're hardly going to get a better opportunity to pick up a win at Lakeside than in their game next time out when they welcome Green Gully to Lakeside Stadium. Three of South's next 4 games coming at home after they play Green Gully. It's a home game against Dandy Thunder, and then head to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex to play Dandy City before welcoming Preston Lions in mid-July. One of those landmark fixtures on the NPL calendar. That ball inside was well read by Boffey and sent behind for a corner. Corner delivered, in swinging ball. Well, it beats the goalkeeper. Beats everyone, in fact. Well, there's all's well that ends well for Bentley Greens. They've got a goal kick, but that could have been very awkward indeed. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the next month of fixtures for Bentley are season-defining. Absolutely massive there next month. Next Friday, they're back here to welcome Altona Magic for back-to-back away games against Green Gully and Dandy Thunder. And then back at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex to welcome Dandenong City. So 4 of their direct rivals near the foot of the Senol NPL Men's Victoria ladder in 4 back-to-back weeks that, well, if they continue their losing run or failing to pick up points, Bentley could end up with a fairly disastrous outcome. That long ball forward, hoping for Marky Petratos, but Harvey Lopez was a long way out of his goal and happy to make the claim. Mikola now for South Melbourne. There's a couple of options on either side. Uses Lakay, who's crossed towards the back post, is a good one for Cox. Thinks about making some space for the right-footed shot. Instead awaits the support of Painter Andrews, who rinses and repeats the delivery. This time it's a Lampard on the receiving end. Fizzes it across goal. No one there, though, for South Melbourne to threaten Brendan White. Nicola lofts it to the back post. There's a bit of a shove. Lakay thumps it towards goal, and that's out into the car park. And someone's car on the receiving end of that strike as well. So a handful of substitutions now coming for South Melbourne. Jack Painter Andrews making his way to the subs bench. As is, from the looks of things, James Lakay and Nawal Bernarda. That sees Luca Coveney coming into the action. Alongside Jordan Swivel, the man who scored the only goal the last time these two teams met. And also Alex Menelau is on the park. Bentley also taking the opportunity to make some substitutions. Shmal Hadji's evening comes to a premature end, as well as Kor Deng. And onto the park for George Katsakis' team. Just confirmation that the two players coming on, Sam Grella and Brando Conte. Sam Grella, who has his 19th birthday tomorrow as well. Brando Conte, whose 20th birthday is this evening. So plenty of birthday celebrations in the Bentley Greens lineup, but those two players will be hoping to have a positive impact on the pitch to celebrate. Doesn't look like they're going to be getting the result that they were after. And that does also mean that we do have both Alex and Dennis Menelau on the park at the same time. Doesn't look as if there'll be too much direct interaction between the two. That ball out into the path of Cox. Well read, though, and defended by Brando Conte. Cox, who's been at it all night. Ball inside, arriving for the, well, ambitious attempt was Alex Menelau. Dennis Menelau tees up Aresti, who tries his luck with a pot shot. That one will be of no concern for Harvey Lopez. Just a score update for you as well. Half-time in the fixture between Oakley and Melbourne City. And it is the Cannons who have the 1-0 half-time lead, thanks to a Joe Guest goal. So if that scoreline were to hold, it would ensure South Melbourne jumping ahead of both Melbourne City and George Cross by the end of tonight, and ending it in 5th position. George Cross, one of the matches tomorrow evening when they'll welcome Dandy City to City Vista. Menelau, Alex this time, spreads it to Cox. Cross towards the back post. Oh, there was a real good look for Jack Pope. Made decent contact as well, but ultimately off target. Of course, if Oakley were able to win, it would, however, mean that they maintain their 12-point gap ahead of South Melbourne. You know that there are extenuating circumstances for South's points tally at this stage of the season. And Oakley have really taken the opportunity to put plenty of space between themselves and one of their main rivals. Of course, that gap very much opening up just in the last month or so. South did an excellent job of competing on all fronts, and it was really only towards the end of the OFC Pro League that maybe started to catch up with them a bit. Substitution here for Bentley Greens as Marky Petratos, the scorer of their goal, gets an early mark this evening. And Kazuto Davies, another of the players who started the season, listed as part of the under-23 squad, who will be introduced for the final 10 minutes or so of this one. Chance for Swivel, looking to sneak in behind, unsuccessful. Lampard is presenting with the overlapping run and eventually receives the ball. Delivers it inside the penalty area. Swivel with the initial strike. Calls for a penalty, and it has been awarded. Jack Pope fouled in the penalty area, and South Melbourne, they've got a chance to make it 5 of the best. One is turning into a night of celebration for South Melbourne. And the responsibility falling on Max Mikkola. Started tonight on the bench, unusually so. It's had a real impact in this second half. Max Mikkola makes it 5. And South Melbourne will be rejoining the winner's circle tonight. They have comprehensively, in the end, outdone Bentley Greens. Mikkola firing that one home. That his 4th NPL goal of the campaign. Ties him with Geordie Swivel, although both are now behind Noel Bernardo, whose goal earlier tonight took him up to 5. A really good spread of goal scorers for South. And Max Mikkola, one of those regular contributors. Saw there just a little bit of an elbow, not intentional I don't think from Khalil Kamara, but Max Mikkola on the receiving end, and that's why the referee's whistle came. No real afters, I don't think anyone believing that to have been a deliberate act. It does open the door for another South Melbourne look-at goal as we tick towards the 90th minute. Jordan Lampard fires towards goal. Ooh. It was a nice strike. Just wide of Brendan White's post in the end, but you could see the idea. He really rifled that one. Aaron Cox showing maybe a little bit of showboating. The result of this game well and truly having been decided. Here's Aresti. Ball through, kept inside. Well managed initially by Kazuto Davies. John and Lampard there mopping up. Aresti with the cross inside. Beat the head of everyone, including the leap from Relos. One of those funny little quirks of the season that if the scoreline remains as it does, then South Melbourne's men's team will have replicated the feat of South Melbourne's women's team right at the start of the season. They too won 5-1 here at Kingston Heath against the Bentley Greens. A nice little bit of symmetry which suggests that maybe things are heading on the right path for South Melbourne. Throw it into the path of Cox. Turns into a little bit of space, Aaron Cox, and just didn't quite have the space. He's really not slowed down a whole lot, even at this late stage, with the result beyond doubt, Aaron Cox. He's been fairly relentless in causing headaches for the Bentley defence. Exchange there at the back as Coveney got involved before that ball was sent forward now. Boffey attempting the block, unsuccessfully so. Chance here for Cox, who tries to get ahead on it. Follow up from Lampard. And well, there'll be no extra time to be played right as the clock ticks over to 90. Our referee putting the Greens out of their misery. It's a comprehensive South Melbourne win at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex. The direction of this game very much evident from the first couple of minutes. South Melbourne 2-0 up within the first 5. And then within half an hour they'd put 3 past Brendan White and were well on their way to victory. Bentley did pull the goal back thanks to Marky Petratos' lovely strike from outside the area. South Melbourne, though, managing the game wisely and seeing out that second half in a professional manner. 2 more goals to their name, capped off by a Max Mikela penalty. And, well, they, for the first time in almost 2 months, have won an NPL fixture. And they will begin their charge towards finals football. Their resources now able to be directed primarily towards League and Cup football. A bit of ongoing conversations in the field in the aftermath, but looks as if nothing untoward. So South Melbourne, they kick off the weekend with a commanding win. Still plenty of Senol NPL Men's Victoria action coming your way on the NPL Victoria YouTube channel over the weekend. Be sure to tune in for all of that. But from here tonight at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex, Bentleigh Greens on the end of a bit of a drubbing as South Melbourne secure a commanding victory. Full-time score, Bentleigh Greens 1, South Melbourne 5.